I've been trying a little experiment lately with some of my North American friends. I asked them, what word pops into your mind when I say the word enchilada? And for most of them, just like that, they say cheese. Well, that's not the whole enchilada. No, if I try that same experiment with my friends here in Mexico, well, they start talking about tortilla and sauce and, well, it's a whole different ballgame. What I've got right in front of me here is the quintessential, the iconic Mexican enchilada. It's a quick fried tortilla that's rolled around some chicken, doused with mole, then topped off with some crisp white onion, a little drizzle of cream, some of that fresh cheese that I just love so much. Yeah. Now, what you taste in this is that each element keeps its identity. Each element is distinct and delicious. Now, for me, that's the whole enchilada. Of course, there's a modern side to enchiladas as well. I mean, you've probably had in the United States those crab enchiladas with the cream sauce rolled in a flour tortilla. Well, in Mexico, modern enchiladas takes a different turn. That's why I brought you to this place. It's called Café Azul y Oro, and it's in the National University's Cultural Center in the south side of Mexico City. And in this place, one of Mexico's most famous and creative chefs, Ricardo Muñoz-Zurita, does some pretty cool things with enchiladas. Now, this plate that I've got here looks like a regular enchilada, except that when I cut it open, you'll notice the filling. Now, what do you think that is? Maybe some braised red cabbage, maybe some beet? Well, it's none of those things. In fact, it's that little flower bud that they call jamaica here. You might know it as the red, that tangy red stuff in a lot of the herbal teas. Well, it's the flower bud of a relative of the hibiscus family. And Ricardo has some organic farmers in Oaxaca grow it for him. And then he brings it into the restaurant and the cooks braise it with some vegetables, and then he quick fries some tortillas, rolls that filling into the tortillas, douses it with a beautiful fresh tomato sauce, tops it all off with a little bit of salad and fresh cheese, a drizzling of cream. And then you've got a flavor that is very modern and traditional at the same time. It's delicious, but don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'm just in the mood for one of those creamy enchiladas. Muchas gracias.
De nada.
Well, nothing puts me in that mood quite like this great old place. It's called Café de Tacuba, and it's right in the heart of Mexico City. It's been serving from morning to night since 1912, sort of like a national institution. And well, the menu, it's what you would call a cafeteria menu or a coffee shop menu. Grand place to be considered a coffee shop, but they serve everything. You can get everything from those little crispy rolled taquitos, quesadillas, beautiful soups, even a steak a la tan pequeña, or chicken in mole, some chiles rellenos, and of course, enchiladas. Now, creamy enchiladas have been on cafeteria menus for the last 50 years or so. But here, just like with everything else on their menu, they add a special Café de Tacuba kind of twist to it. These have got a creamy sauce that's made from spinach and roasted poblanos. And in fact, the aroma of it is making my mouth water. Well, that flavor, it's totally comforting. A little old-fashioned, and totally delicious. And you know what? They're really not all that hard to make at home. So if you like that that kind of retro dish. You know those spinach crepes with the white sauce and the melted cheese? You're gonna love these. Enchiladas Especiales, Tacuba style. Well, at least my version of it, I think. And I start by roasting a couple of these beautiful poblano peppers. And then when they're all blackened and blistered on the outside, I let them cool down till they're handleable and rub off all of that blackened skin, tear them open, pull out the seed pod, brush out all the seeds and rinse them briefly, and then roughly chop all of these roasted poblanos. And I'm gonna get together the rest of the ingredients for the sauce. I've got some spinach here, some milk, grab a little bit of broth out of the cupboard there. And I'm gonna take a good handful of this spinach and add it to the roasted poblanos. I'm gonna put them all together into the blender jar. Scoop up these, oh, they smell so good. Now, for the base of this sauce, that white sauce that I was talking about there, I'm going to take a little bit of butter and melt that into a large saucepan over kind of a medium heat there. And then into another saucepan, I'm going to combine equal parts of milk and chicken broth. I'm gonna warm the broth and milk mixture. When the butter is completely melted, I'm gonna add a little bit of chopped garlic to it, stir it around until it's really aromatic. That takes about a minute. Add some flour, stir it to combine. Then add the warm broth and milk mixture and whisk it until it comes to a full boil and thickens. Reduce the heat to medium and let it simmer for about 5 minutes and take it off the heat. I'm gonna give this a little salt, whisk that in, then pour about half of this white sauce mixture into the poblanos and spinach. Secure the top onto the blender, but because hot mixtures expand in the blender, we don't want to blow the top off. So I'm going to remove that center part and put a doubled up towel on there, then blend this mixture until it's as smooth as I can get it. It's a beautiful color of green. I'm going to take this mixture and put it back in with the base of the white sauce. Whisk that all together and we're on to the tortillas. I've got a dozen corn tortillas here that I'm going to divide up onto a baking sheet by twos. Then with spray, I like to use the oil spray. I'm going to spray both sides of each tortilla. Then the tortillas go into a 350-degree oven for 3 or 4 minutes just to warm them through, bring them back out, stack them all together to keep them warm. Now to fill these enchiladas, I have some coarsely shredded rotisserie chicken, and to top them a little bit of grated cheese. Now of course we're gonna need these warm tortillas and our sauce to work with as well. I'm gonna take about a cupful of this beautiful garlicky green roasted poblano spinach sauce and mix that into the chicken. And once that's all mixed together, that'll season it nicely. Then we're ready to form these enchiladas. I'm gonna take one of these beautiful terracotta individual baking dishes, put just a little bit of the sauce over the bottom of it, and then roll 3 enchiladas, little of our shredded chicken filling. Roll that up and nestle that down in. A bit more filling in a second one. Once you've got 3 of them, then a little sauce over the top, covering them from end to end so that there's no tortilla get hard in the oven. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of this grated Chihuahua-style cheese, and it's ready to go into the oven. Wow. I can hardly talk, my mouth is watering so much. La Casa de las Enchiladas. Well, the name just tells you that this place is Enchilada Central. And it's a great place to kind of wrap your head around the whole concept of enchilada making. Because this house of enchiladas is built on 4 pillars, and they spell it right out on the menu. Because each guest gets to choose from 4 different categories to make their own enchilada creation. First of all, you get a chance to choose the tortilla, then the filling, then the sauce that goes over it, and then the decoration or the garnish that goes over the whole kit and caboodle there. Okay, so when you're talking about tortillas at Casa de las Enchiladas, you get a wide variety to choose from red corn, blue corn, all the way to a whole wheat flour tortilla. In the fillings, well, there's the everyday chicken, but there's also shrimp and some skirt steak. And when it comes to the sauces, well, that's when it gets really interesting. Now, of course, we're in central Mexico, in Mexico City, so there's always going to be a mole on here, and they've got one that's made here on the premises. Also a green mole. But then it goes off into things like black bean sauce, chipotle sauce, a peanut thickened sauce, one that's made from 7 chilies. And then, well, when you get to the garnishes, it could be some crumbly cheese, garnishing cheese like queso fresco or añejo that goes over the top, some red onions, some cream, some cilantro. I mean, it just goes on, including a little bit of melting cheese as well. So right now, where my taste is leading me is to start with a blue corn tortilla, fill it with a little bit of potatoes and chorizo, top it off with some 7 chili sauce, and then sprinkle over the top of it some of that garnishing cheese, a little drizzle of cream, some red onion. Who knows? But you only go around once. Talk about instant gratification. Nothing like seeing your idea go from concept to reality in less time than it takes to drink a beer. Though enchiladas are clearly a staple of traditional Mexican food, many modern chefs have taken them all the way to fine dining, sort of like what we do at our restaurant Topolobampo. When we put together menus at Topolo, the chefs and I typically sit down and we hash out the details of each dish, with Topolo chef Brian Enyart taking the lead.
I've got some ideas on how we can do a new concept of an enchilada, but I'm going to lean on these guys to help out with the filling and the sauce for sure.
What's your new concept? I'm a little worried here.
Well, what I want to do is...
You tend to want us to skate right out over the edge there, okay.
What I want to
Does it include a tortilla? That's what I really want to start with.
It actually does. You'll be happy about that.
Okay.
So what I want to do is basically redesign the shape and do more of a packet fold, and then I want to take the garnishes. Instead of doing the traditional onion, cilantro, and radish, I want to take the flavors from the filling and the flavors from the sauce and reincorporate those flavors into how we're going to aesthetically finish the plate.
I'm trying to get the idea of the package, and now where are we going with filling and sauce?
Something we consider really to be exotic is sable.
Sable, okay.
Sable's a great fish.
Yeah, black
We
cod.
really like
okay.
that fish.
So let's hold how we're going to finish the sable until we talk about. Do you want to talk about sauce? Do you have an idea for
I think
sauce?
there's a good salsa, the yellow mole.
Oh,
Hoja Santa.
Well, hoja santa certainly goes in the yellow mole, but usually you don't make enchiladas out of yellow mole. I don't know. What do you think?
I would be more than happy to make a fennel air, or we could do an hoja santa air to go with it.
You know, you're already pushing the envelope here.
All right.
Well, envelope is an apt description of this thing that you want to create, I think. It's already going to be a challenge for our guests to see it as an enchilada. I'd pull back on airs and all and jellies and all that sort of stuff. I'd keep more traditional.
So do you want to just stick with maybe a fennel frond salad?
Well, something like that, maybe.
Cool. Maybe with a little bit of watercress to help give it a little bit of bite to brighten it up a little bit.
Pretty straightforward then. But you make the pickle and stuff to go on the top.
We'll work on
of
a couple
it.
other things, and then you can give the final yay.
Oh, okay, and then we'll all collect back together and decide whether we think it's worthy of the menu or not.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
So having decided to use the traditional corn tortilla as the base, Enrique Gomez went to work on the sauce, the yellow mole. Richard James did the filling, and Brian concentrated on the garnishes.
Okay, this is hoja santa. It has sort of a root beer, sassafrasy type flavor, very distinctive. It's used mostly from the state of Oaxaca. It's the typical flavoring of the mole that we're making, mole amarillo, which is also from Oaxaca.
Los tomatillos se tienen que freír en la salamandra primero. Son dos partes. Primero se cocinan por un lado, como la salamandra está así, y después ya cuando se rostizan de ese lado, se voltean para que queden rostizados por el otro lado también. Este lado y este lado.
So what I want to do is take some black peppercorns, crush them up, a little bit of water, a little bit of jack cheese, and then we'll throw it on the stove and bring it up to about 190 or so. I don't want it to simmer.
Okay.
You feeling good over there? Wow, that's like a great looking chili in there.
Brian's thinking about making dry jack cheese and black peppercorn air to help echo some of the flavors that are in the mole. So I'm basically just whizzing these peppercorns up just a little bit. I don't want to make a fine powder. And then I'm going to put them into that pot over there on the stove and make like an infusion.
Well, what I'm doing is a chiffonade of the guajillo chili. We're using guajillo chilies in the base of the sauce, so I thought it might be nice to do a really fine chop on this, fry it, salt it, and then use it as a crunchy garnish element for the top of our salad.
It's Alaskan black cod, sable fish, or butterfish. Now they call it butterfish and sable because of the natural fat content that this fish has. It's one of the highest fat contents of any species of fish. And it really lends itself to really succulent dishes. That's why we like to use it in really special preparations. It's like eating butter. It's very healthy because it's high in omega-3 fatty acids. This fat is actually good for you. The fish has to cook for about, I'd say 5 minutes, really gently poaching it. You don't want to boil it like crazy because it'll start falling apart on the outside. Now, you want me to cool this off? What do you think?
Well, Kike, how far out are you on the mole? It's ready? Then leave it hot.
Okay.
And we won't have to heat it up again.
Cool. One less step.
Kike, make sure you get a decent amount of masa in there because I want to make sure that the sauce doesn't run out as soon as it hits the plate. The under cryovac or under vacuum is when we put it in a bag and we remove all the air out of it and then seal that bag. And then we then slide that bag into a water bath, and then that's how we cook our food at low temperatures. We found out if you cryovac this bacon and then cook it at about 143 degrees for 24 hours, what it does is it kind of melts the fat out in your mouth. It keeps it intact. So what will happen is we're going to sear this, put it on the plate, you're going to put it in your mouth, and it will slowly dissolve away. It's absolutely spectacular. I'm going to try it again. That's spectacular. Very good. Very good. So this is soy lecithin. It's an emulsifier, but what this is going to do, and don't tell Rick about it, but what we're going to do is add this to that black pepper cheese stock that we just made, and we're going to aerate it using a hand blender. And this soy lecithin will help keep that air in there, so it'll look like almost clouds on the plate. So now the cool part about the whole thing. Here, go ahead and try that. See what you think. What do you think? Is it good?
I love it.
Are we into it?
Yep.
Do we want to put it on the plate and see what he says?
I mean, all we can do is take it off.
It's fun. Right? Take it off if he doesn't like it.
I'll eat the rest of it.
There we go. That I'm going to try and make a cross out of these tortillas. Instead of doing fold over enchiladas that we normally do, I want to do more of an enchilada package. Now you're going to have the delicate job.
Oh, man.
You're going to put those together, fold the two ends in each other,
Right.
and the other two ends. You're going to walk them over here, and then we're going to put them down. Go ahead and walk them and do 1, 2, 3, right down the middle of it.
Right down the middle.
So this one's already got a lot of stuff happening. Should we try the air or should we let it go?
There's a little air right there.
Gotta keep it
right there.
Okay, I'm gonna kind of drop it right here. Should be a little bit of there and then a little bit of. There you go. Wait a second. Is that done?
I think it's cool.
All right. Now we got to go find him and see what he thinks.
Let's go get them.
All right.
At Topolobampo, we like to look at a couple of versions of each dish and then taste them with sommelier Jill Gubish to nail down the perfect wine pairing. I wasn't sure I was going to like these little packages, but I love them.
Thank you very much.
I love them. I love them. And you know, I have to say that first, there's something on there. I don't know quite what that is.
That would be the black pepper air.
Oh, black pepper. Oh, there's black pepper in the yellow mole. Okay, so I can see how that could play, but being the bacon fan that I am, I'm a little bit more partial to bacon rather than the black pepper air, but I don't know, we got to taste it, so we should probably just dive in and taste that. So grab your spoons there. Wow. Well, the flavors all come together.
Yeah, these
I
guys
get the
did a bang
hoja.
up job.
I don't know if I'm getting the hoja santa from the mole amarillo or whether I'm getting it from the fish. Oh, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. Okay. You got to weigh in first as to whether you think there's any wine that we can pair with this thing. Tell us what you've poured here for us to taste.
Well, in the white wine glass, I poured an Alsatian Riesling because I think that a richer style Riesling, but not necessarily sweet, is going to really play off that flavor of the Hoja Santa.
What'd you pour?
So this is Domaine Zenunbrecht Guberschwer Riesling 2006.
My friend forever. My friend forever.
He makes these
heck of a
really,
wine.
really rich, voluptuous wines, so it has this really big weight to it, but you still get
Stunning.
that pretty fruit of the Riesling.
Oh, it's stunning. Did you taste it?
Yeah, I think it's going to go well with all the masa aspects on the plate.
Yeah.
Well, same with the
without a
sable.
doubt.
It's just got that richness to it. It's beautiful.
Okay, so what's the other wine?
Then we have a Rioja, but it's the more classic style Rioja, where they blend the Tempranillo with Garnacha, Mazuelo, Graciano, and they still use American oak. So this is a Lopez de Heredia Viña Busconia 2000 Reserva Tempranillo.
Well, it smells really good, but all of a sudden I'm thinking that this wine, just from my first taste here, is probably going to go better if we have that little bit of bacon or that black pepper, or maybe the black beans with it. I don't, because I know that the Riojas tend to go good with the black beans and all that.
On that note, I say that maybe we play around with adding both the bacon and the black pepper air, and maybe bulk up the salad a little bit and see where it takes us.
Bacon and black pepper.
It goes with the wine. It goes with the wine.
It goes with the wine. I don't know. Oh, you know, actually,
That's
it's not an
not
idea.
a bad idea.
You know, or dice it up and sprinkle it over so that it's not another major player
Right,
on there,
that's
and then
not a
let
bad
the
idea.
air
Dice
stay
it up
on
and
the
get it in
top.
Get all those notes.
Bacon in the filling.
Yes.
That'll make me super happy. Okay, just a couple of tweaks, and I think we're out.
I think so too.
Excellent.
Good job.
Excellent.
Yeah.